Hi everybody, I'm Katie, and this is Lacey, and together we are Budget Bitch. Good girl. I love you. Hey y'all, thanks for joining us. This week we're going to be discussing dream budgets, but as always, we're going to start with a weekly check-in. Here's my income tasks page. I have checked off a couple tasks, including transferring my sinking funds and RV savings, and increasing my TSP retirement account by 1% for next month, which is really exciting. I'm up to 8% for March. We got paid very early this month, which is why I was able to accomplish all these tasks before the month was even halfway through. I've updated my income on the right. My week 2 expenses didn't do that great here. I re-upped my Starbucks twice, and this happens when I eat at Starbucks. I don't often eat at Starbucks, but I had a couple early mornings this week, and so I ended up eating there, and then I spent a lot more money there. So hopefully I can just ride out this last $25 for the rest of the month. I have almost all of that last $25 left in my Starbucks account. Wish me luck, y'all. Restaurants I did okay, $50. And miscellaneous is not bad for 1 week, $50, $50-ish dollars. 2 out of these 3 things were true necessities. Popflex, okay, that was definitely a late night YouTube impulse buy. It's going to be delivered tomorrow. It's a journal, as if I need more journals in my life. At this point, all I can do is think of why I bought it, which was with good intentions, and really commit to using the journal for its purpose. February sinking funds, I have made contributions to my sinking funds in these amounts for the different categories. I'm pretty excited about it, honestly. And then my goals for February, I have not done any of them. I have been doing my weekly check-ins, obviously, so that'll be good. My joint spreadsheet is almost complete, really close, so I should be able to check that off by next week. I've been planning my 40 before 40 items, but they're not done being planned. Basically, both of those things are contingent on our house closing, our house refinance closing. And then my weekly check-in at the bottom. Starbies, I'm off, obviously, way ahead on my spending, and not in a cute way. So I've spent all that I can spend for the month. I got to get through the next 2 weeks making it last, or begging people to buy me Starbucks, which I'm not above that. Restaurants, I have slowed my spending. Last week was just a big spend. So this week would have been okay if last week hadn't been so big. The next 2 weeks should be lower. We just got to keep it in check, man. We can do it. Miscellaneous, well, I had already spent the whole month last week, and then I spent more this week, so obviously it is over. Looking forward to the next 2 weeks, just going to see how mindful I can be, how close to the goal I can remain. Are you feeling glum? Are you feeling like I spent too much money and my budget is ruined? Well, in those 3 areas, it's not going that great, but let's check another area where it's going super great, and that is my car payoff. I have paid another $1,200 this month towards my car, and you heard it here first, folks. By next week's video, that balance will be under $10,000. Woo! That's pretty huge. We're almost 2 full months into the year. I hope by now everybody's financial goals are really trucking along. You have a budget that's working for you. Maybe you've adjusted it once or twice already, but you're making it work. And maybe you're seeing some progress towards your goals for the year. For me, I find mid to late February to be maybe the hardest time of the year. It's so cold, and the newness of the year has worn off. I'm getting a little unmotivated about the things I was excited about in January, but I don't have the excitement of spring and warmer weather and blossoming trees to get me back motivated. I want to know for y'all, what is this time of year like for you? Are you feeling motivated? How are your goals coming along? Let me know down in the comments below. A couple of years ago, when I first really started getting my finances together, paying off my debt, thinking about how I was going to save money, really looking at my retirement goals, I found myself in this position. A couple months in, a little bit unmotivated, a little bit gloomy, seeing only small progress towards my goals, and wondering if it was really worth it to keep going. That's when I came up with the idea of making a dream budget. Before I tell you what a dream budget is, I want to tell you what a dream budget is not. A dream budget is not an excuse to ignore your current financial situation. It is not a time waster that you pursue rather than actually tending to your financial or other obligations. It is not detached from reality, a la, this is what I would do if I won the Mega Millions. That's fun. That's not what this is. It is a way of reminding yourself of the life you want to live, the priorities that you have in the future regarding finances, and a motivation to get you through the long, hard task of paying off debt. Dave Ramsey has that famous saying, right? Live like no one else, so later you can live like no one else. Well, right now you might be living like no one else. Maybe you're living in a shared house that's not as great as what you would want if you could have anything. Maybe you're driving a junker car. Maybe you're working way too many jobs. Maybe you're even skipping nights out with friends because you don't want to spend the money. That's great because you're making the hard decisions now, living like no one else, so that later you can live like no one else. This is a way to remind yourself of what that later living like no one else looks like. What does it look like to you? It's also a great way to set realistic expectations on what your future dreams are. I used to think of all the things that I would buy or do or spend money on when I was no longer in debt. And then I wrote them all down and realized if I did all of those things, I would very quickly end up in debt again. Bye, Lacey. Okay, so how do I do a dream budget? My favorite way to do this is to take my current budget, my current working budget, like this month, and move it into a new tab on my spreadsheet. Then I take away any debt payments that are in there currently. For me, I don't anticipate paying off my mortgage early in our current house, so I keep that one there. Still got to pay the mortgage. But other than that, no debt, no car payment, no loans, no student loan debt. Oh Lord, what a good day that's going to be. I also adjust my income to account for cost of living increases I can anticipate and the 1% increases that I am making on my retirement contribution. Right now I'm at 8%, so by March of 22, I will be at my goal of 20%. From there, I create a zero balance budget based on what all I want to include. Like I said, the first time I did this, I realized that all the things I wanted to include, that was too many dollars. I still couldn't afford that, even based on this dream budget. But it did get me to reevaluate what was really most important. I also realized while doing this practice that I didn't want to just become debt-free. I wanted to stay debt-free. So it was important to me to have savings for things I would buy in the future. I mean, currently I am aggressively paying off my car. My goal is that the next time I buy a car, I could do it with cash. So in my dream budget, I have a savings line for my future car. You might think that making this dream budget is just going to make you focus on all the material items that you want and you can't have right now. Like, I just want a manicure every week and I can't afford it and debt is awful and my life is terrible. I found the opposite to be true. I found that the things I was most excited to add to my budget were things like donating to Big Fluffy Dogs. That's the nonprofit where I got Lacey. Or helping my dad out with his monthly expenses, or hiring a maid to come every 2 weeks to clean his house for him. Also, because I'm in this mindset of being debt-free and really planning for my future, planning for purchases, then saving for things, the line item of $500 towards a future car, that's actually really exciting to put into my budget. As I played this game of figuring out what items would fit into that budget, I found that the things that were most valuable to me were services that increased my time or increased our quality of life. Those were things like lawn care, cleaning services for the house, getting my car detailed once a month, just so I really felt great in my environment, but didn't have to spend so much darn time cleaning the bathtub. One other thing I often play with in dream budgets is my income. Again, this is based in reality, so it's not just like, oh, let's imagine that I made $100,000. That seems like a lot of money and that would be fun. Yeah, that would be nice, but where's that money coming from? This exercise is based in reality, so instead I start with my current income. Like I said, I change my full-time job income, my military income, based on what I can anticipate my pay increases will be. But then my other income, I don't change it. So my gig income, right, my hustles, I just leave the per unit price of all those things the same. Bless you. And then I start playing with the numbers. What would it look like if I got 2 voiceover gigs per month at $300 a pop? Or if I took on 1 more private student? How does that change my annual income? And how does that affect that monthly budget that I'm playing with? What I find when I play this game is that the numbers add up fast. And so before, where I might have thought like, oh, let's make $100,000, I was simultaneously thinking, seems like a lot of money. I don't know if I could do that. But now I can see how I could get from my current income to the new dream income. And it's not as far a stretch as I might have thought it was. It really motivates me to go and do the work that I need to do to launch my voiceover business or take care of my current private students and contemplate where I could add another, things like that. So whatever your side hustle is, however you quantify that, what would 1 more unit do for your monthly budget, for your annual budget? This is for motivation. So this is not the perfect math. A lot of this is spitballing. A lot of it is sort of back of the napkin math. If your goal is to hit $100,000, then you probably need to do a little bit more detailed math on how you will get there. But this, for motivation, I think it really shows you like, yeah, man, I could get there. And so this year, I'm going to try and hit this smaller goal in my ultimate goal of getting to $100,000, for example. A few practical tips about dream budgeting from my experience. 1, choose a specific date in the future. Don't just say, yes, someday I'm going to have this. Do one for a year from now. Where do you think you'll be in your debt payoff or your savings goals in a year? And how does that free up other money in your budget? What are you going to do with that? What about in 5 years? What does it look like then? Project forward then. 10 years, to me, feels a little too far away to be motivating, but it might work for you, especially depending on what your business or finance goals are. Tip number 2, be realistic. The fun part of this exercise is seeing what's actually possible in the not too distant future. And tip number 3, if you find yourself spending more time on your dream budget than your current budget, step away. Return back to reality. Dive back into your current finances. Remember, the goal of this dream budget is to help clarify your vision and find extra motivation for your current life. And last tip, if this is your first dream budget, I would suggest writing down everything that comes into mind, everything you could possibly want. Maybe it's lawn care or a babysitter twice a week so that you can have date night and some personal time. Maybe it's a full-time chef to maintain a salad bar in your house, which is what I want. Make the list. Make the whole list. Then you can either add those items to your budget one at a time, starting with the ones that seem most valuable, or just throw them all in the budget and see how much over budget you are. I mean, maybe miraculously you won't be over budget. Maybe you can have that salad bar in your house, but probably you're going to be a little over budget. Then start looking and say, well, what could I do without? What can I get rid of? And take them away one at a time, and you're left with the things that are the most valuable. Here's one more tip from Lacey. There is a lot of delayed gratification when you are learning to be responsible with your finances. But don't forget to live your life now too. Skipping every social engagement might save you money, but what is it doing to your overall relationships and happiness? If you find yourself always saying, "I'll do that when I have more money," see if you can zhuzh your budget to find ways to live the life you want now responsibly. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next week.